Enforcement Board of the City of Tarpon Springs is called to order. Bobby, would you call the roll, please?
Ms. Wade?
Here.
Mr. Perdio?
Here.
Mr. Weeks is absent. Mrs. Telliar is absent. Mrs. Archer? Here. Mr. Rolliston?
Here.
Dr. Matea is absent. That completes your roll call.
Thank you. Mr. Trask, the Board Attorney, will lead us in the invocation and the pledge. If you'd stand, please.
Our Heavenly Father, we gathered together here today intent on doing good work. We seek to represent fairly and well those who have given us this task. We meet to serve the city of Tarpon Springs, to use our resources wisely and well, to represent all members of our community fairly, and to make decisions that promote the common good. We recognize the responsibility to the past and the future, and the rights and needs of both the individuals and our community. As trusted servants, we seek blessings on our deliberations and on our efforts here today. This we pray. Amen.
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you have a cell phone, please make sure you have it on silent. The code enforcement hearing procedure is as follows. It is the intention of this board to promote, protect, and improve the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of Tarpon Springs by providing an equitable, effective, and inexpensive method of enforcing various codes within the city of Tarpon Springs. Any aggrieved party may appeal a final administrative order of this board to the circuit court. Such appeal shall be filed within 30 days of the execution of the order to be appealed. Florida Statute 286.0105 requires any party appealing a decision of this board to have a record of the proceedings to support such an appeal. The procedure of this board is as follows. First, the city presents its witnesses and exhibits, after which the alleged violator is able to ask the city's witnesses any specific questions regarding their testimony. Secondly, the alleged violator is allowed to make a presentation and present his or her witnesses and exhibits. Then the city can question the alleged violator's witnesses. After both rounds of testimony, both on the part of the city and on the part of the alleged violator, each party is asked to give a closing statement, first by the city and then by the alleged violator. After those three steps are taken, this board will close the public hearing portion of the case to discuss it and take appropriate action. Before we begin the public hearings, we will have all potential witnesses stand up and be sworn in by the secretary of the board. You folks are presenting testimony today? Yes. She's going to need to swear you in. If it's difficult to stand, we'll just let you raise your hand.
Do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. You seated?
Thank you very much. One agenda change on your printed agenda, item number 3 has become item number 1 because our inspector needs to get back to some inspection. So we're going to start with that case. And is anyone here for 415 East Oakwood? It's case number 22-800000009. Darlene Manderson. Seeing no one present, I guess you'll start for us. Thank you, Beth.
Thank you. My name is Beth Hughes. I'm the FACE Certified Inspector for the City of Tarpon Springs. This is case number 22-8000009 for 415 East Oakwood Street for Darlene Manderson. Exhibit 1 contains all the photographs. Exhibit 2 contains all notices to include the notice of violation and notice of hearing. Exhibit 3 contains the administrative documents to include the case summary, the property appraiser and tax collector records. Exhibit 4 contains the affidavit of posting and a copy of the sign. Madam Chair, please accept all exhibits into the evidence as record, or into the record as evidence.
Thank you, Bobby will do so for us. Thank you.
Okay, so we have not had specific contact with the owner. However, we did have contact with one of the children that was residing at the home when we posted the stop work order, or when Mr. Lero posted the stop work order. So on January 14th of 2022, the initial inspection was conducted. Inspector Dave Lero and I met at the property to post a stop work order. We spoke with the owner's son because the owner was not home. We explained that the work being performed would require a permit, and we did not see one in the system. We requested all work to stop until the appropriate permit paperwork was submitted and a building department permit issued. I told them I would follow up with a courtesy letter from code enforcement. So on January 14th of 2022, a courtesy letter was mailed. On February 18th of 2022, a reinspection was conducted. Per the building department, no permit applications had been submitted at that time. So on February 18th of 2022, a notice of violation was mailed. And per the United States Postal Tracking, the notice was left on February 22nd. However, it was returned to sender unclaimed. On March 14th of 2022, a reinspection was conducted, and per the building department, no permit applications had yet been received. So on March 15th of 2022, a notice of hearing was mailed. Per the USPS tracking, the notice was left on March 18th, and it was returned to sender as unclaimed on March 11th of 2022. On April 1st of 2022, the sign was posted and an affidavit of the posting was signed. So yesterday, on April 13th of 2022, a final inspection was conducted. There is no permit in the system for the addition. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the photographs. Okay, so I'm going to go through these, and then I'm going to have the inspector, Mr. Lero, come up and supply his evidence as the expert witness. So this basically, or actually, let me do this. Dave, since these are your photographs, can you come on up? Pardon? Is that not the right one?
No.
For the record, will you have him identify himself too, please?
Yes, I'm sorry, I'm getting there. Okay, so this is Mr. Dave Lero as my expert witness, and Mr. Lero, will you please state your name and your title with the City of Tarpon Springs?
Yep, my name is David Lero. I am the Development Inspector for the City of Tarpon Springs.
And
Looking for.
we'll get there. And can you verify for me that you did in fact issue a stop work order?
Yes, on January 14th, around 10 o'clock in the morning, we actually went out to 415 East Oakwood Street and did service a stop work order for work that is being done without a permit.
Okay, and that addition that they were putting up definitely does require a building permit?
Yes, per the Florida Building Code 105.1, you have to have a building permit to continue from this point on.
And finally, can you just verify that they have not submitted a permit application or received a permit?
Yes, from at this point in time, they have not submitted anything. They have told us verbally that they did, but we have not seen anything here at the city at all for this particular project.
Okay, and I'll go ahead and let Mr. Lero explain the pictures as we proceed through them. Sorry, this is kind of clunky. Let me put this over for you.
Okay. The picture that you actually see right here, this is actually what we have to do by code. We have to take a picture of the posting. So when we post it up on the particular project, we have to take a picture of the date and the violation. And in this case, it was no permits. And as you see right there, by law, I also have to put my name on there with the date, with the address, and of course I do put my phone number there. That way the people can contact me instead of contacting code enforcement first or calling the building department, they're calling me first. And this is pretty much the project that's going on. This project right now is very extensive. So they have gone quite far before they had gotten a permit on this thing. So there is many inspections that have been missed in this whole project. So there's going to be a lot of detail in the process now from this point on, how to get things rectified for these people. And you can see there, here's another thing is we're not allowed to enter the property. So I can't step on the people's property. So what we did was, this was the parking lot prior behind this project. And from here you can actually see that windows aren't installed yet. Roof has been done. From what I understand, I think you might even see, did you take pictures of this just yesterday or no? No, okay, so roof has been completed as of right now. So they did work beyond the point of when we asked them to stop. They did cover the roof at that point in time. And you can actually see it's extensive work that's being done. I don't even know what the size of this project is. I don't know how big it is. We haven't seen any plans or anything like that yet. So we really don't even know what's going on at this point.
Okay, so to conclude, what I'm asking the code board members is to find the property in violation of City Code 6-1, which adopts the Florida Building Code, and in violation of Florida Building Code 105.1 for permits required. And that concludes my testimony, unless you have any questions for either myself or Mr. Lero.
There's been no inspections whatsoever, no certification about the structure itself, whether or not it's not going to fall down, blow down, or...
No, sir, there has not been any. We have not had a phone call. We have not had anything submitted to the city. At this point in time, just like I said before, this is going to be a long process. This is not going to be something you're going to be able to decide on in 5 minutes. So there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done here from this point on.
Has there been?
I always have concerns if people are living in a property that's not safe. It is homesteaded according to the appraiser's office. Do you see evidence that somebody's living there?
No, ma'am. I have not been by to check the project out since then. I don't want to be a nuisance, to the people. So I have not been by there to see if anybody's living in there. I wouldn't. Yeah. Well, they're living at the house, but they're not living in that particular side of the project.
But that's going to need to be, we don't know if electric's been hooked up to the other house, and this could be a fire hazard, or?
Right, we
Okay.
don't know anything at this point in time.
And
So-
they've refused the certified mail from the post office. They've just refused it, or refused to sign for it, or because they mentioned earlier that you had children residing at the house. I mean, are they toddlers, teenagers, or
So we have U.S. tracking notices that the notice was left. However, the mail has been returned to sender as marked as unclaimed for both the notice of violation and the notice of hearing. But of course, we also posted the property at the property 10 days prior. It's posted on our city website, and it's posted physically outside at City Hall as well.
And just to be clear, you said that they have continued working since the stop order went up.
That is my assumption. I can't assume that they have, sir. I just can say that they did finish the roof on that particular project. If it was me, I probably would have done the same thing.
Just to close it in, I
Just to close it in,
understand.
yes, ma'am.
Gotcha.
It's just always a safety issue when nobody's inspected it.
Well, everything that we do is a safety issue, so we have to look at it as safety, okay?
Yep.
So, they always say, are you in the quality job? No, ma'am, I'm in the safety job. So it's all about making things proper. At this point in time, I have no idea what has been done inside. Looking forward to getting inside to see what's been done.
Thank
That's all I can say.
He just asked my question.
And there is no record of whatsoever of any permits or any, I assume, any phone calls or anything from the owners, the property owners?
No, at this time, they have not submitted anything. They did, when we were sitting there explaining things to everybody there, they had said that they had priorly submitted products or papers to the city. But we had called the department, and of course, they said, no, nothing has been submitted.
So Beth, if we find that they are guilty of this, are we expecting for them to get the permits or request an inspection? What is it we're gonna ask them to do?
So I'm asking that you cite them for permit required so that they have a permit that's issued. It would be a different case if they don't actually, so if they don't obtain a permit, have it issued, and have it an active permit, that would comply this case.
Okay.
Should they not complete the permit and it expire, that would become a new case.
Is that clear?
Yeah, it's clear. I'm just looking at this where, okay, it's, you know, they're basically, since they're continuing on the work.
Well, we don't know that for sure.
Okay, we don't know that.
We don't know that for sure, sir.
Okay.
All I can tell you is, at this point in time, I have not been by to see anything.
Right. But it looks like it's continued since you first cited it, yes, no, or?
I'm sorry.
No, I would say no. I would say, let me say this. The roof was completed, that's it. And again, like I said before, to dry it in and things, put the shingles on. Other than that, sir, I do not know. I do not know what's been done inside.
For me, just to kind of summarize, I think it's basically, it definitely is work that requires a permit. And so that's what I would like to cite them for. As far as how they go about getting the after-the-fact permit, that'll be on them, between them and the building department. We're just citing them for the fact that they have to get that permit.
And on the record, we're perfectly happy with people fixing up their houses.
Right.
But
Oh,
it
yeah.
has to go through the process.
Right.
And this is not that costly compared to what we see being done at this property, so I
Right.
wanted to.
But there's permits are required for, electrical,
Electrical,
plumbing,
foundation,
and the
windows,
physical.
walls, yes.
yeah.
Right, so and again, so they're basically deciding that for whatever that addition requires, those are the permits that would be required to obtain.
What's a reasonable time frame at this point to get this kind of permitting done now that, as you said, it's going to be pretty complex?
Yeah, just to get the permit, well, first off, they're gonna have to submit their
Plans.
drawings to the city. All right, so it takes a little bit of time. There's no time I can give you on when the drawings are submitted. It has to be approved at that point in time. It could take a month, it could be 2 months, it could be 3 months, sir. It just depends on what has been done. We do not know what's been done at this house, okay? Again, like you said, we're not trying to stop these people from working or from having a home, okay?
So guidance on time, 2 months?
So Dave, the permit review process is 30 days for the building department, is that
30
correct?
days, so, but in this case, it could be up to 2 months, at least, if not more. 30 days. What are we doing? I'd say 60 days.
Step one is getting the drawings in and getting them
Right.
approved.
And the thing is, we want to try to work with people, but we don't want people thumbing their nose at the rules and regulations.
Going 3 months with,
Yeah, and then decide, oh, my God, you know,
I'm gonna have to tear this whole thing down because the city made me.
yeah, it's.
So, I'm sorry.
Yep, go ahead.
I apologize. Keith Mead is the deputy building official, and he's actually here today. And of course, I can certainly bring him up to answer any questions you may have if we wanted to swear him in, if he didn't earlier. But the city has 30 working days to review a plan, and that's working days, not calendar days. So if it were to take up to that amount of time, that's just the city review portion. So they would obviously have to do whatever they need to actually apply for the permit as well.
Well, we can certainly get a first motion together.
Yeah, my concern is, you know, okay, you're basically, we're we're encouraging bad behavior by saying, oh, it's okay, you know, do what you want, then we'll take care of it at the end of the day. No, that's not how life works.
I will say that the stop work order was issued on January 14th.
Right.
So that was placed on their property on January 14th.
So we've had 90 days almost to, and we haven't gotten there yet. Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody like to make a motion?
I move based on the testimony, evidence, and facts presented in law at the time of the alleged violation, sections Florida Building Code 105.1 and City Code 6-1 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Tarpon Springs was in force and effect. The respondents were in violation thereof.
Second.
Roll call, please, Bobby.
Mr. Rolliston?
Yes.
Ms. Archer?
Yes.
Mr. Perfidio?
Aye.
Ms. Wade?
Yes.
That completes your roll call.
Do I hear a second motion?
So we're looking at realistically 6 weeks.
It gives them
that
2
next
weeks
step
to get
done.
it in, and then that gives the city the 30 days. So,
Okay, I'd like to make a motion. I move that the respondents shall have until 9 June to bring the property in compliance with code sections FBC 105.1 and City Code 6-1, 2017 of the IPMC, or suffer a fine of $100 per day for each day thereafter respondent remains in violation of said code sections.
second.
Tell me, how much did you say?
100.
Roll call, Bobby?
Mr. Rolliston?
Yes.
Mrs. Archer?
Yes.
Mr. Perfidio?
Aye.
Ms. Wade?
Yes.
Motion carries.
There's no one here to summarize, but the city will send this documents to the owners, and they will have this information. I hope they respond appropriately. Next item is 20-8000556. The address is 990 Sunrise Drive. Joseph N. Johnson and Cindy L. Johnson, I believe, are here today, and they'll come to the microphone. The city will present a case, then you can ask them questions. Then you get to tell your side, and we can ask you questions. I hope that's clear for you. One of you will need to. The city's going to present first. Do you have any objections to their presenting the same evidence that you've been given
No.
already? Thank you. Bobby, you'll accept the evidence, please?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're confirming that you are Joseph Johnson and Cindy Johnson?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Beth Hughes. I'm the FACE Certified Inspector for the City of Tarpon Springs. This is case number 20-800000556 for 990 Sunrise Drive under Mr. Joseph Johnson and Cindy Johnson. Exhibit 1 contains all the photographs. Exhibit 2 contains all the notices, to include the notice of violation and notice of hearing and the public service notices that had been mailed to the property owner. Exhibit 3 contains the administrative documents to conclude the case summary, property appraiser, and tax collector records. Exhibit 4 contains the affidavit of posting and a copy of the sign. All the photographs and exhibits that were given to the violator are exact copies of what is being presented to the board. All notices were mailed to the property owner of record as determined by the Pinellas County Property Appraiser and Tax Collector databases. All notice of violations and notice of hearings are sent return receipt requested and first-class mail. And Madam Chair, please accept all exhibits into the record as evidence.
Yes, Bobby will do so.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we have had contact with the owners. On February 25th of 2019, a letter to connect to city sewer from the Public Services Department was mailed. On September 16th of 2019, a notice of violation from the Public Services Department was mailed. On September 18th of 2020, the initial inspection for the code case was conducted, and per the building department and utility departments, the property had not been connected to city sewer. On September 22nd of 2020, a notice of violation was mailed and delivered per the U.S. Postal Service tracking on September 24th of 2020. On January 15th of 2021, a reinspection was conducted. At that time, no permit for sewer connection had been obtained. On January 15th of 2021, a final notice of violation was mailed and the green card was signed. So on January 21st of 2021, we also received a phone call from Ms. Cindy Johnson, and she stated that she would be working on trying to get a permit. On February 24th of 2021, a reinspection was conducted, and per the building department, no sewer connection permit had yet been obtained. So we sent sending a notice of hearing for April. So on March 1st of 2021, the notice of hearing was mailed and the green card delivered. On April 2nd of 2021, a sewer connection permit was applied for and the fees were paid. As a result, on April 12th of 2021, we mailed a deferral notice to remove it from the agenda to allow them to finish the permit process. The notice was left at the address on April 14th of 2021. On May 17th of 2021, we received an email that had an estimate for the connection of the sewer, and our planning and zoning department had actually been attempting to work with the county to see if there was any payment assistance for them, and unfortunately they were unable to get any for them. So on October 20th of 2021, per the building department, this address does not have the plumbing permit. They have paid the connection fees, however. And what I should mean by that is they haven't completed the connection. They applied for the permit, paid the connection fees, but have not actually connected. On December 9th of 2021, a reinspection was conducted. Since they already completed sewer connection for one property and have paid the connection fees for this one, we decided to send one more final notice before scheduling it for Code Board. On December 13th of 2021, the final notice of violation was mailed, and per the United States Postal trackings, it was delivered on December 15th of 2021. On February 10th of 2022, we received a call from Ms. Johnson, and she had questions over the 200, or she disputed that they were less than 200 feet from the water main. And we will go over that code when I bring the utility department up to testify to explain what that was about, and it was determined that they were within the 200 feet. On February 23rd of 2022, there was another reinspection. The sewer connection had not been completed. On February 23rd of 2022, a notice of hearing was mailed, and the green card was delivered on February 25th of 2022. On April 1st of 2022, the sign was posted and an affidavit of the posting was signed. On April 13th of 2022, a final inspection was completed, and permit 21-809 to connect the city sewer had expired, and the property has still not been connected to city sewer. So truthfully, the only photograph that we have as evidence is simply the just screenshots. I don't know if you wanted to see them or not, of the fact that the permit has not been completed. Sorry. I don't know why my mouse.
Thank you.
Okay, so this basically just shows that they do have they did apply for the permit, and I can't get my mouse to work. Anyway, it was submitted into evidence that it did expire on September 21st. Of 2021. So just to kind of summarize what had happened with this street, as we had the sewer connected, and I will bring the employees from the water department over to testify. But just as a real quick summary, the entire street was required to connect to city sewer. Once it's installed, they are required to give each property owner a notice that it's required, give them the appropriate amount of time, which was basically 1 year. That year passed, it wasn't connected. As a result, it then became a code case, and I just read you the narration of the how the code case progressed. And I'm sure they will explain to you that they actually do have 2 properties on this street, and they can explain their portion of it. But I would like to go ahead and bring up Ray Page and Heather Frendel and have them let you know their names and titles.
Thank you, Beth. Good afternoon. My name's Raymond Page. I'm the utility superintendent for the city. So I am in charge of all water and sewer within the city and the transmission and distribution of it also.
Hello, I'm Heather Frendel. I'm a water distribution technician too with the city of Tarpon Springs.
Okay, so at this point, unless, I'd just like to verify that in fact they were required to have a mandatory connection at this property, and that they have or have not connected to city sewer.
Yes, Beth. The city has code that was written in 2000 and passed into ordinance that basically outlines the criteria of when a home has to connect to sanitary sewer. And in reviewing this property, they certainly meet the criteria that's outlined within the code. And if we need to, we can go through that criteria. But yes, it does apply in this situation.
Thank you. So of course, they'll be available for any questions, but what I'm basically going to be asking from the code board is that the property be found in violation of City Code 20-22, which is the mandatory connection. And at this point, that concludes my testimony.
I have questions for you. If I understand correctly, all of these properties were formerly septic,
Correct.
and they are located right near Lake Tarpon,
Correct.
and we've trying to convert these things over. You are required to connect to city water or not?
City water is applied a little differently because it doesn't have a pollution factor, but in this specific case, it's to the sanitary sewer, and the city had installed a new sanitary sewer main on that street, and as part of the changing over, this was the final location to do that on that street.
And the only way to be paid for the sewer is by counting how much water comes into a property.
Correct.
Thank you. Did anybody else have a question for them? You get to, first you ask questions, then you get to make your case. Do you understand the distinction? Do you have questions for any of these witnesses?
Actually, I don't have any questions, but I have things I'd like to say.
But you have
I have things I'd like to say.
that's fine. If there are no questions, you may present your case. Go ahead, please.
I'm glad you did bring up the other property.
If you'll speak right into the microphone, thank you.
I'm glad Beth did bring up the other property, because first let me start that I've lived on this road, this street in Tarpon Springs for 40 years.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and this house that we reside in now, never had any trouble with anything regarding water or sewer in all these years. I know at one time, we were being forced to do this, and for some reason, there was a gentleman up the street. He has since passed. Nobody knows where any of the paperwork is, but we were grandfathered in as not having to do this. And everyone in my street, everyone was aware of this, and that's why no one on my street hooked up, because of this fact. And the attorney was Mr. Shahan. Nobody knows where any of the paperwork, it disappeared. It just disappeared. But I do know we were, like I said, I've lived there this many years, I know we were grandfathered in. So with that being said, I understand that I have to do this. I have tried to comply as best that we can. We have medical issues that we're dealing with, and all the times that you were referring to on the 2019, I had just gone triple heart bypass surgery, and it took me months to heal from that, months. In regards to that, when we did our home first, where we reside, which is 988, I did the best that I could I'm paying impact fees monthly on that. I paid full impact fees and hookup charge for 990, which is why I'm here today. I am in contact with a plumber at this time. He just did $15,000 worth of electrical work for that home to bring me up to code, because it had to have a new AC. That put a really damper on us. I had to borrow money to pay that. And now this gentleman who's going to do this work wants $20,000 to hook up to my sewer from where the impact is, which is on Sunrise Drive, but yet it's 260 feet where the septic is. I have it in writing that I have nothing, I should not have to do this, anything over 200 feet. Now, if they wanted to bring the tap in up to the edge of the property and not out on Sunrise Drive, that would make it a lot cheaper for me than to pay $20,000, and it would only be a little over 100 feet. So I have this big, beautiful tree that runs up my driveway that the Audubon says I can't touch. And so I'm wondering, how would they run the impact, where the hook in is right at the very edge of the driveway where the mailbox is. It runs right up the middle of my tree. That little street, that's the driveway going to 990, runs right up next side to that tree. The Audubon says I can't touch the tree, can't hurt the tree.
Audubon doesn't have anything to do with the trees.
Not Audubon, I'm sorry, Arbor.
Tree's about 500 years old.
But what I would like to know why is, it's over 260 feet. Why isn't the city willing to come up at the edge of that property line, where that property starts, and then hook in from that way? It would only be a little over 100 feet. That I might be able to handle. But with all the expenses that we just had to pay for the electrical, and still paying for hooking up to the sewer from my home that I borrowed money from a family, I'm having a rough time. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not trying to do this. I just am asking for a little help. Somehow, some help. I spoke to a really nice lady upstairs. I think her name was Pat or something. And she told me she was gonna look into this for me to see if I could find help. And I never heard back from anyone. And we've had, since this electrical problem that I found out that I had in that home, and the gentleman who's willing to help me now, I do know that I just signed all kinds of papers for him to resubmit a permit. And I'm thinking you might have that, because this was last week. like I said, I want to do the job. I'm not trying to be in any way, shape, or form not wanting to do the job. I just need either some kind of assistance, some time. I need something, some kind of help. That's it. I complied with our house that we lived in as best I could. And now I'm trying to do this house, but I can't do everything all at once.
This here needs a sump pump too. That's how far. It's too far.
It needs a lift station, they're telling me. But look, can I say something? The gentleman that is working with me now, this plumber, and I really like him, he's done such great work for us. Because I own both homes, is why couldn't we tap into where my tap in is and go right up the straight the back of my house, right to it? It's just a little over 100 feet. I own both houses. Is there a problem with me being able to do that? And I wouldn't have to go up that long driveway.
I think that would be a question for them.
If I ever
Can
sell-
you clarify that for her? I know you can't run
Part-
one
part
house
of
to
the
another
associated
house.
issue with that is if the properties were ever separated in the future, there would be a potential that one home could cause a sewer overflow into another home. And within the city, that has kind of been prohibited
I
in the
don't-
past.
I'm sorry, I guess I didn't speak what I meant to say. I don't want it hooked into mine, just hook it up separate to another one, but go by the side of my house in the back and not up that long driveway.
Okay,
I
well,
have
that,
an image of the,
yeah.
if that's helpful, I put it up.
And here's the thing is, without going there and seeing, I mean, at this point, I can't comment that that would be successful or not. That would be irresponsible of me. I could commit to you this, that we could come and do a site visit. I have not done a site visit to investigate something like that, to look at what it would take to potentially do something like that.
It'd be a lot
But I
easier
couldn't commit to that
and
at this
cost
moment.
effect. I mean, I know what I have to do, but I gotta have money to do it.
Sure.
And threatening me and wanting to put liens or whatever you wanna do, it's not gonna make it any easier for me.
Well, this is not a personal issue, ma'am. I mean, we
I
understand
know,
exactly
I'm just
what
letting
you're
you
saying.
know how I feel.
But Beth, I don't know if it's appropriate to make a recommendation for time extension or something. But
I've had diabetes for 40-something years now. I wear a pump. This has caused me more stress than you could ever possibly imagine. More stress. And being a caregiver to this gentleman, of course, my husband of 39 years.
84 years old.
Thank you. And part of what we see is that we've had 2 years on this and haven't gotten anywhere, and that's always a concern to us. We'll see does the board have questions for her?
I don't have a question.
Do you have,
I have a question for Mrs. Johnson. Ma'am, how much time do you think you would need to be able to get this figured out? And as Mr. Page said, he'd be more than happy to come out and take a look at any questions you might have.
Well, with that being said, yes, somebody will have to come out and check everything out and see what I would like to have done if it's possible.
Now, of course, he's just, tell her what you can do. I don't want to assume what he can.
yes, the reality, ma'am, is that, there is a strict city code that we can't really work on private property. We could facilitate a tap to the edge of your property. If there's another location that you're thinking about, we could evaluate and investigate that.
There is,
But
yes.
I think for the purposes of this meeting, you're gonna need to really tell these folks, and it's not like you have minutes. I mean, be reasonable with what time frame you think you would need to actually complete this as it's outlined as we speak. If we come up with another solution and that speeds up that timeline, that would be a great win-win. But at the same time, I can't go forward and tell you something without actually being able to back it up.
Well, I understand that too, but I also need someone to listen to me about the distance.
Well, and that, the
Okay.
distance, I understand what you're saying, but the criteria within the code specifically spells out that distance.
Right.
And you meet the
Up to
distance.
200 feet.
From the
I'm
edge.
over
Right.
200 feet. It's 240
Sure.
feet.
Right. Do you see how that property is highlighted in green?
Yes.
That's your property.
Yes.
And the code, I'll read it to you and then we can discuss it. It says, "No mandatory connection to the public sewer system shall be required if the public sewer system is at a distance greater than 200 feet from the property line of the property owner, using a properly functioning on-site sewer system."
And it's properly functioning.
Right, but you're closer than 200 feet and the sewer is available. This is not a question about whether your system is functioning.
Well, I would like to know who
It's a
walked it
question
off.
of the distance.
Because even my plumber has walked it off and is agreeing with me of how the distance is. How did you get your configure that it's less than 200
See
feet?
the highlighted green, ma'am?
I do.
That's the property that you own. Our sanitary sewer line is right there by the E on the drive in that roadway. It's about 60 feet or less from there.
That's wrong. I'm sorry.
You don't own that property? Is that
I
what
own
you're
that
saying?
property, but I can tell you it's a lot more than that. I just had it walked off by the new plumber, and he's
You
agreeing
see the width
with
of the
me.
road, ma'am? It's in the roadway. That's the edge of your property right there, where the green ends, where the number 16.
If you want to use my little mouse, you can show her where it
So-
is.
Right, so this is the criteria. It says from the edge of this property line to the sewer line.
That's Sunrise Drive right there.
Right, to the sewer line has to be less than 200 feet.
It's over 200 feet.
Well, it shows 150.
It's over, well over 200 feet.
No, no,
To where the pump, to where the septic is, it's well over.
but that's on your
The
property.
property line.
Off the edge of your property to the actual sewer line in the road has to be less than 200 feet, and it is. Your septic tank is way down here by your house.
My
That's
septic
on
tank
your
is underneath the
property.
third bedroom.
Well, but it's.
That's
the
irrelevant.
distance
But
is
you
on the
understand
property.
it's from the property line, not where your septic tank
The
is.
distance that would be measured, ma'am, would be right from this green line right here
All right,
to the sewer
okay.
line out on the road.
The property line starts at where the house starts to turn and go this way. That's where the property line starts. It doesn't start on the road where you're telling me. That's not the property line.
Well, then you'll need to take that up with the Pinellas County, because this is that shows you own that property. If you can make the county tell us
It's
that
an
you don't own the
access
property,
road going up to her house.
that you own. That's your property. I mean, it's under your name, under that parcel of mine.
But why am I still not getting it?
We're not
It's
sure.
still over 200 feet to the septic.
No, not on your property. On your property, it's over 200 feet, but from the edge of the property line to the new sanitary sewer line installed in the road is less than 200 feet.
You have to get from your house to the edge of the property. The city will get you from the edge of the property to the sewer line.
Yeah, so.
But you're responsible from your house to
we
the
would-
edge of your property.
And dig up the sewer main here and extend a pipe right to the edge of this green line. That's where you would have to have your plumber bring your line to and connect there. So,
No, they're gonna come back. See, what you don't understand is we have to collapse the old septic. That's gonna
Mm-hmm. do
take, they're gonna
understand
have to collapse it, fill it in with concrete. They gotta tear up the floor in the third bedroom to get access to this.
I don't
This
believe
is where
that
all the money
that
comes
should
in.
not be that's not appropriate.
That's
There's
not
material
cor- you
could
need
put
a
in the
different
tank
plumber.
to stop
Yeah,
that.
it's
So if
That's
you're
not
telling me
correct
that's
at
not
all.
right. You're not gonna dig through the floor of your bedroom to remove the septic tank.
Someone has misled you.
Yeah.
How many plumbers have you had out there?
Two. The first one that I had, I don't care to have him do the second job.
That's fine. I suggest that you get some other help, because in 2 years, and you've only contacted 2 plumbers, and one of those you dismissed,
Well, he did do the first house. He did where we live, yes.
okay. Very good. Other questions?
Nope.
Ready to,
I don't have any questions, I just wanted to say something.
yes, ma'am.
I understand why you're upset and why you're frustrated. This is very difficult, because if something like that happened to me, it would be very difficult for me too, to come up with that kind of money. I mean, this is thousands of dollars that you never planned on. And it's a shame that there isn't a way that we could help this lady somehow. I don't know if there is or not, but that's a
I'm
lot of
willing to
money.
accept anything at this time.
Just
Just so you know, I did recommend that they contact 211, the senior center. Actually, Renee, the director of planning and zoning, has contacts at the county that she attempted, and we just have not been able to find anyone that has been able to assist them.
I agree it's difficult. I do think that that estimate was out of line a little bit, and that she might do better. It is unfortunate.
The problem is, we have to look at what the facts are and not, as presented to us, not your plumber said he's got to cut through your bedroom floor to do this stuff, you know.
I
and-
understand. May I say something?
Yeah.
In his words, it's because it's such a distance from the tap-in on Sunrise Drive, going all the way back to the back of where the pump, the septic is why the expense. He said that if I could get the city to maybe bring the tap-in up closer to the property for me, it wouldn't be so much on me then. And I'm asking
The
that
city has
question too.
testified they are bringing it to the edge of your property. That is as close as they can go. They cannot go on private property.
Oh, you're gonna come up you're gonna come up the road? Nobody ever told me that.
Let me explain this to you, ma'am, and I wanted you to understand, and this is not a personal issue in any way. Right now, there's a sewer line that runs up and down Sunrise Drive, right? It runs this way along the road.
Yes.
We're gonna dig down into the road and find that sewer main and run a pipe and cap it right at the edge of that green space where the number 16 is.
Okay.
That's where your property begins. Yes, it is a long run, I acknowledge, from if you're under the third bedroom to run your pipe all the way down there, but unfortunately, that is what the situation is. The city cannot do work on private property, unfortunately.
Okay. Now, if you look to the west of that picture,
Yes?
my house sits in front there where that flat roof is. I run directly from the road there all the way straight back my backyard, right to the cook-in on 990. Why couldn't we do that?
You can't have two
Yeah, that's, you can't have two
residences or
residents on two
properties
separate
dumping
parcels
into one
connected at
pipe.
the same
I don't
place.
want it connected to the same, there's another line there.
Well, and that's what,
There is.
and here's the thing, is that, as I told you, I have no problem coming out to look at an alternative, but I can't commit to that right now. I can't say that, yeah, we could do that.
Well, you're willing to come out and look?
Absolutely, we're willing to come out and look, for sure.
Okay. That's all I ask.
I think we're ready for, make a motion. Thank you for coming.
I move based on the testimony, evidence, and facts presented, and law that at the time of the alleged violation, section City Code 20-22 of the City Code of Ordinances of the City of Tarpon Springs was in force and effect. The respondents was guilty in violation of thereof.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Rolliston?
Yes.
Ms. Archer?
Yes.
Mr. Perfidio, sorry.
Aye.
Ms. Wade?
Yes.
That completes your roll call.
And following that, we need to figure out the second motion.
Today's 8.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion. I move that the respondent shall have until July 22nd to bring the property into compliance with code section, City Code 20-22, or suffer a fine of $50 per day each day thereafter that they remain in violation of the said city code.
May, June, July.
May I speak?
3 months to get, no, ma'am, I'm sorry, at this point, I cannot have that.
I mean, it's in the interest of helping out, that's 90 days.
And get it dug. There's a motion on the floor. Do I hear a second? Would you like to?
Well, the question is, okay, so once, you have this until this time to get it re-permitted, and is it completion for the 90 days?
Do I have 6 months with the permit?
Well, this would be to get the permit.
No, this would be to get compliance.
Oh, to get complete compliance?
Right, we have a motion on the floor. If there's no second, it dies. We need to move on. Is there a second? The motion dies. We need
Hearing
another
none,
motion.
That motion has failed. Do I hear a second motion?
I was gonna say, if we could amend it, your motion.
Okay. We'll start again.
Okay.
Would you like to amend your motion or
Uh,
remake a motion?
Yeah, I'll amend, so, what, you want to do 6 months?
Money-wise,
Yeah.
too.
I
I'm
think
not
so.
voting on $50.
I'm sorry.
I said I'd rather have the fine be lowered also, because
Okay.
I don't agree with 50.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for the feedback. May, June, July, August,
Does October work for you?
Is that
September is 6.
6 months, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, I move that the respondent shall have until October 21st to bring the property into compliance with City Code 20-22 or suffer a fine of $25 per day each day thereafter that it remains in violation.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Rolliston,
Yes.
Mrs. Archer,
Yes.
Mr. Perfidio,
Aye.
Ms. Wade.
Yes.
Thank you.
She's going to summarize what we just did for you. She's going to, and then they'll mail it to you also. But, or Mr. Trask will summarize
Trask.
it.
I'll do that. So ma'am, I'm down here.
Right
Yes.
down here. He's the attorney for the city.
Just going to summarize what has happened today. So you and your husband have been found in violation of Section 20-22 of the City Code. You've been given until October 21st of this year to bring the property into compliance. Should you fail to bring the property into compliance by that date, a $25 a day fine will be assessed. What has happened today will be reduced to writing. It'll come in the form of an order. It'll be sent to you at the address listed by the property appraiser's records. If you don't understand what has happened today, you can talk to the code enforcement officer after the meeting or talk to Mr. Page after the meeting. Okay? Okay.
Thank you very much for coming. We hope we've given you enough time to take care of that.
Me too.
Thank you.
Good luck.
I've lived in Tavern Springs since 1964. I worked for people you probably never heard of. Bob Greer, John Strickland, they were my bosses. And I worked for Carl Flamer for 24 years.
Thank you very much. We appreciate
But
that.
I worked for the city of Tavern Springs years ago on police cars for free.
Thank you.
I knew a lot of people in Tappan years ago. When you get 84 years old, you don't forget.
Or you forget more if you're like I am. We're going to have to go to the next case. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
The
Have a
case,
great
next
day.
case, next case is 22-8, 0000006, 743 Sunset Drive, John Durso. And seeing no one, the city will present its case.
Okay. My name is Beth Hughes. I'm the FACE Certified Inspector for the City of Tarpon Springs. This is case number 22-800000006 for 743 Sunset Drive for Mr. John Durso. Exhibit 1 contains all the photographs. Exhibit 2 contains all the notices to include the notice of violation and notice of hearing. Exhibit 3 contains the administrative documents to include the case summary, property appraiser, and tax collector records. Exhibit 4 is the affidavit of posting and a copy of the sign. All of the photographs and exhibits that were given to the property owner are exact copies of what is being presented to the board. All notices were mailed to the property owner of record and determined by the Pinellas County Property Appraiser and Tax Collector databases. All notice of violation and notice of hearings are sent return receipt requested in first-class mail. Madam Chair, please accept all exhibits into the record as evidence.
Yes, thank you, Bobby, you'll do so.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we actually have not had contact with the owner for this code case. On January 25th of 2022, I conducted the initial inspection. The expiration for the permits during the COVID time period had been extended, had the property owner made requests for extensions. However, that time had basically passed. So after checking with the building official, they were no longer extending any permits due to COVID. The permit for the fence had not been completed. So we will be sending a courtesy letter to complete the permit process. Permit 20-1257 was printed on May 15th of 2020. On January 25th of 2022, a courtesy letter was mailed to the owner. On February 25th of 2022, I conducted a reinspection. Per the building department, the fence permit had not been renewed, nor an extension application received. On February 28th of 2022, a notice of violation was mailed and the green card was returned illegible. However, per the U.S. Postal Service tracking, it was delivered on March 11th of 2022. On March 25th of 2022, I conducted a reinspection, and again, per the building department, permit was not renewed and no extension request had been received. On March 25th of 2022, a notice of hearing was mailed. A notice to reschedule delivery was left on March 30th of 2022, according to the tracking. On April 1st of 2022, the sign was posted and an affidavit of the posting was signed. On April 13th of 2022, I conducted the final inspection. No application for the permit extension had been received by the building department. So basically, let me pull up a quick picture. I did drive by the property yesterday to see if the fence was still up, and it was. Oh, let me see. Okay, so basically, it's a fence on the western side of the property, a wood fence, and basically it is still there. He did apply for the permit. It does need to be renewed because it was not completed, and the property owner has not done so. So it's basically he doesn't have a current permit for the fence permit. This is the same person that had been assisted with the previous code case, and that agency that did assist him is more than willing to help assist with the fence completion as well. However, they can't do anything for him until he has an active permit. So what I'm requesting from the code board members is to find the property in violation of City Code 6-1, the city code that adopts the Florida Building Code, and in violation of Florida Building Code 105.1 for permits required. And that concludes my testimony.
I got confused. I see a fence that's built, and is this the right timeline? He built a fence without a permit, came in and requested a permit after that, and then still didn't finish the fence?
So what happened during the COVID time period was they were issuing permits without putting expirations in the system. So I do believe he did get a permit. However, in order for your permit during that time period, they were allowing extensions. The only thing is that the people had to apply for them. No request was made for the permit to be extended. So ultimately, since 2020, we're now here, and the permit had still not been completed. So basically what I did was I sent a notice saying, okay, the COVID extension process, just to formally let the property owner know, has expired. They're not allowing just extensions anymore. Your permit basically is expired. You can still make the extension request. That's pretty much what you need to do. And, you know, I'm not part of the building department, so whatever it is that they need to do to get that permit renewed and active is what I'm asking for him to do, and it's not been completed yet.
Is the fence completed?
That's where I got.
I don't know if it's been completed because no final inspection has occurred and I can't go on the property.
So he needs to renew the permit to get the final inspection?
Yes, ma'am.
That's what we were missing.
Right, and so, just for my edification, you're gonna spell that out to them and say, you need to do this for us to do this, so you don't get this.
So basically, what this case is for is, I'm citing him for permit required,
Right,
because
okay.
at this point, he basically doesn't have one because it expired.
Okay.
So that's what I'm citing for. Should he not finish that process, then again, that would end up being another case down the road for not we'd basically be right back in the same situation. We'd have an expired permit that was not completed properly.
Okay. Got it.
Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
And he doesn't answer when you call.
I have not tried to call him. He does not want contact from me.
Okay.
I do believe he had contact with the building department and that she sent him the paperwork for the extension request.
Got it. Any other questions?
Well, just one, and requesting a fence permit is a 15-minute activity. I mean,
It can be done online.
I can't speak to that. I don't know how, I apologize.
no, yeah, it's just making a statement. It's,
For the record.
yes, it's not rocket science, I know. Okay.
Do I hear a motion?
Yeah, I move based on the testimony, evidence, and facts presented in the law that at the time of the alleged violations, Section City Code 6-2017 and FBC 105.1 of the City of Tarpon Springs was in force and effect. The respondents were in violation thereof.
Second.
Either one, Bobby. They both seconded. And then we'll have a roll call.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Rollinston,
Yes.
Mrs. Archer,
Yes.
Mr. Perfidio,
Aye.
Ms. Wade.
Yes.
Please roll call.
Second motion?
Okay, I move that the respondents shall have until 12 May to bring the property in compliance with Code Section 6-1 and FBC 105.1, or suffer a fine of $20 per day for each day thereafter the respondent remains in violation of said code sections.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Rollinston,
Yes.
Mrs. Archer.
Yes.
Mr. Perfidio,
Aye.
Ms. Wade.
Yes.
Okay, please roll call.
We have no affidavits of non-compliance, and we have quite a few of compliance. Thank you, Ms. Hughes. Since each case has different, let's see, the first one,
three
two, three have no dollar amounts associated with them, we're gonna work on those three together. Case number 4 is case number 17-8000748, 119 East Lime Street. Case 5 is 19-8000882, 730 Driftwood Lane. And case 3 is 20-8000311, 1700 Blue Lake Court.
Just need a motion to
Can I have a
accept.
motion to accept the affidavits of compliance?
I move to accept the affidavit of compliance for the three above named cases.
Second.
I hear a second. We can do it by voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll skip down to item 7, which is case number 20-8000240, 110 North Spring Boulevard, or the Annexi family, and let's ask for a motion to accept it and mentioning the affidavit of prosecution costs.
Okay.
I move,
Go ahead.
I move to accept the affidavit of compliance and award the city $283 for the cost it incurred in prosecuting the case.
Second.
All in
Okay.
favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 8 on our agenda is 21-8, 0000107, 743 Sunset Drive, familiar address. Can I have a,
I move to accept the affidavit of compliance and to award this city $157 for the cost it incurred in prosecuting the case.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We have reached the end of our agenda. Could I hear a motion to approve the minutes of the March?
We have minutes? I didn't even open my.
All in
Yeah.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And hear a
I didn't-
motion.
Oh, I think she, oh, I think she.
She made a motion.
I didn't even know we had minutes.
Oh,
I-
okay.
I make a
I'm sorry,
motion
I
to
thought
approve
you
the
did.
minutes.
Yeah, that's the motion.
Would you like to do so?
I just did.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so there's a
Second?
motion by Ms. Archer and a second by Mr. Perfidio?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then the vote?
And all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Is anyone in the audience that wish to speak?
I think we had enough of that.
Board or staff members wish to speak? Mr. Trask would like to.
Yeah, I just want to update you. One of the properties that you've accepted the affidavits of compliance today, 730 Driftwood Lane, this was a mobile home property. The property was abandoned by the owner. The city took the opportunity to pay for a demolition of the mobile home and removed it from the property and then placed a lien on it. So not only was there a code enforcement lien, but there was an abatement lien. I was given authority to begin foreclosure proceedings on that particular property. Before I did that, I reached out to the property owner and over a couple of weeks negotiated this one. Instead of having to file the foreclosure, the property owner did in fact just convey the property to the city of Tarpon Springs. So the property is now owned by the city. I'm not sure what they're going to be doing. It'll probably be surplused and sold. But I want to let you know that that property is now cleaned up and in control of the city for maintenance.
Fantastic, thank you very much.
This was the case where we couldn't find the property owner, wasn't it, G.K. Sutherland?
I'm not sure, I don't remember that specific. I found her in Tampa or Brandon area through an accurate search. So, yeah, I just want to let you know that you were very successful in getting what you needed then, and getting the property into compliance. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Unless anyone has anything else,
Wish everybody a happy Easter.
thank you. And wish the new board all the best, the new city board.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, and mayor. Meeting's adjourned.
Okay.